How is it going today, Loyalist Kingdom? My name's Dwayne.
My name's Jasmine.
We're Dwayne and Jazz. Today we have for you 10 more ways you're secretly tricked by
You're secretly.
you're secretly tricked by companies.
10 more ways your secrecy is gonna get exposed.
Ooh, you're funny as hell, Jasmine. Anyway, let's dive on in, man.
Thank you.
There are a lot of methods companies employ to convince consumers that their product is the best. Most of these are often so subtle that we aren't even aware that we're being influenced. We take a look at 10 more ways that companies trick you on a daily basis.
I know
From subtle
one way.
manipulation to outright psychological
I'll say this and
warfare. A bad thing!
Just kind of scared.
Number 10. Scarcity principle. This one is pretty straightforward, and yet it's amazing how often we fall for it. It's the idea that if the store markets something as going out of stock or only being offered for a limited time, that people will naturally want to capitalize on it, even if it's something that they don't actually need.
If you stuck
Now,
sitting
while
on the
this may be
shelf for a
true of
long
certain
time.
seasonal things
Yes.
like mandarin orange chocolates and candy canes, the majority of these ploys are simply there to encourage reckless spending and have little to do with scarcity at all. Nevertheless, in keeping with the mantra of supply and demand, we are naturally inclined to want to process things
Yeezys,
that
though.
are seen
Oh my
as
God.
real. The next
Those
time
bots
you
be
visit a
eating them
grocery
up.
store and there's a special one-time offer being advertised, try to keep track of whether or not it's still there the next time you come back.
The next
Yeah.
week or something is
Still
still
there.
there.
Number 9. Visualizing dollar signs and costs to wait. You wouldn't
What?
think something as simple as dropping the dollar sign from the price tag would have an impact on whether or not someone chose to buy a product, but a study out of Cornell found that when looking at many restaurants, there was a notable difference in spending habits. When restaurants got rid of the infamous dollar sign
People spent
or any
more.
other currency
Yeah.
symbol and simply displayed a number, patrons were far more likely to purchase more expensive items.
Ooh.
This also heavily ties into a similar
I can
bias
see how
where
though.
consumers
Yeah.
tend to favor items that look cheaper than they actually are. You've probably encountered this firsthand, and it's become one of the more obvious but nevertheless effective ways to encourage spending.
Wow. That's
An
interesting.
item priced at $2.99 visually appears to us to be a better deal than something priced at $3, even though the difference between them is only a cent. This
Right.
doesn't just apply to candy bars and small things, however.
Yes.
Car manufacturers are famous for pitching the
Working
same
in retail, I deal with
marking
all
down
this
prices
stuff.
to look
Yep.
cheaper by reducing numbers to the left. There is also the matter of cost-to-weight ratios. Many products have been experiencing diminished amounts per package, with a price that fails to take into account this loss. In many
Yeah.
cases,
Give
this
it less and
involves
less
the
for the
convenience
same
of
price.
packaging
Yeah.
and stores tapping into the inherent laziness of their customers. Think about it. If you're in a stifling mall and just want to buy what's on your grocery list and get out, you're less likely to head to the bulk aisle and spend time measuring and bagging your own food when you can just as easily
Just
cruise
get
down
it.
another aisle and swipe a prepackaged version of the same product into your cart and keep
Paying
going.
for that
You're
prepackaged,
yeah, you're
yeah.
paying for the
These
package.
prepackaged items don't often reflect a fair weight to cost ratio, and you end up paying more or less. Number 8, social proof. We are innately herd
but
creatures,
he's talking
meaning
about
that we
promos.
often contextualize events and experiences according to the people around us. This is something psychologists and marketing agencies have known for decades, and has given birth to what is affectionately termed social proof. If we see something that appears to have been advocated by others, we are more likely to make emotional purchases based on that information.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Slogans
promos.
like 9 in 10 people
Yep.
prefer us over competitors may seem like lip service, but when displayed in a way that emphasizes authority, such as on big signs and commercials and through celebrity endorsements,
Yep.
there is
Yep.
a measurable
I was gonna
effect
say, see
in
Kim
people's willingness
Kardashian
to
wearing something
believe
like that.
and
Ooh.
buy accordingly. Number 7, trustworthiness of faces. Speaking of celebrities,
If you like
there is a whole
someone.
Yep.
algorithm behind the sorts of people that show up on commercials and advertisements. And generally speaking, most of them fit a
Morgan
certain
Freeman.
criteria.
Ryan
There is
Reynolds is
considerable evidence to show that we often make up our minds about the trustworthiness of a person's face in the blink of an eye, between 10 and 33 milliseconds, and that the degree to which we trust a face has a lot to do with its
That's
proportions.
dangerous.
That
A
is
study
dangerous.
out of New York University found
You have somebody that
individuals
you
with
like,
higher
hey,
cheekbones and
smell this.
eyebrows, as well as genuine smiles that utilize
Like, I
all the
gotta
muscles
get
of the
one.
face, were
Right.
statistically viewed as more trustworthy than those with sunken cheeks and furrowed eyebrows. The moral of the story? If you want to sell something, maybe getting a facelift isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. This certainly paid off for Calvin Klein when they piggybacked on the up-and-coming fame of Justin Bieber for the 2015 line.
Yeah.
A campaign whose video racked up nearly 10.5 million views and and became
So
one of the
it's
top
different.
That's
trending
'cause he was
topics
in
on
his,
Facebook that year.
underwear.
Yeah.
Number 6.
All the little girls was like,
Stimulate
ooh.
your appetite. Restaurants and bars are notorious for priming their customers to purchase more than they normally would. The presence of bar snacks
I
or
know that.
appetizers like free
Appetizer.
bread
Ooh, they
has
Yes.
become so commonplace that we almost take them for granted. In
Is
fact,
that-
you might be a little miffed if you don't get apparently gratis extras
I
at
wish I
these
could
sorts
eat
of
some
establishments. But in reality, the choice of what makes up a bar snack or a complimentary appetizer has been carefully selected to encourage you to make larger expenditures. Bars in particular favor salty snacks like
Yep, like-
peanuts,
like
which make
Five
you thirsty.
Guys.
While
Yeah, that's what
high-class
it
restaurants
Five
encourage you
Guys,
to
you'll
eat
see the
bread
peanuts
to
and just
activate
me.
your appetite so that you'll be even hungrier
Yeah.
when it comes
But
time
those are
to
free,
choose a
though.
menu item.
Those are, yeah.
By lining the stomach, the bread will also enable their clientele to drink more, which is beneficial to the restaurant as beverages have the highest profit margins. There is also agreement in the hospitality industry that by offering
What is
free
that?
and relatively
That's good.
small samples, you are encouraging reciprocity, our
looking at
psychological
all the
tendency
food.
to want to pay people back for acts of kindness and generosity.
Wow,
The
that's
next time you
interesting.
find yourself unconsciously wanting to tip a large amount, think back to whether or not you were offered a complimentary glass of wine or basket of bread. Number 5. Social conditioning. Understanding how people react to certain stimuli has become the proverbial El Dorado for social savvy marketers, and social conditioning is just one of the many techniques that employees are taught. Although we are predominantly visual creatures, some studies have found that utilizing tactility in interactions, such as having salespeople touch you while demonstrating or explaining a product,
Yes.
makes it far more likely you'll end up buying whatever it is they're selling. Mimicking expressions and gestures also increases empathy and creates a social bond between employee and
They try to
customer,
get me to
making
do that.
you much
What?
more sympathetic
At,
to a spending
retail.
spree, a phenomenon
They was
known
like,
as
"Mimic your
facial
customer."
feedback theory.
I'm
If
just
you've
like,
ever noticed a salesperson
No.
tapping your shoulder or folding their arms and touching their face when you do the same thing, you've probably been a target of such social conditioning. Additionally, there is evidence that when luxury items are concerned, customers are more inclined to buy a product when the salespeople are rude to them. The idea being that snobbiness fosters the illusion of belonging to an in crowd. And here we
Oh,
like to
please,
think we've
I'll
grown
walk
out of
out.
high school cliques and trying to be the cool kid. Number 4,
He's like, are
complimenting
you sure you
principles.
can afford
Another
this?
Right.
relatively
Yes, I can.
straightforward
Buy
sales
it.
strategy.
Right.
This one is
I'm
favored
leaving.
especially by electronic manufacturers such as Sony and Microsoft. Often a product will be sold for a certain amount, but the additional components such as batteries, remotes, cables, etc. will be sold separately and come with higher than average price
do
tags
that.
attached. When purchasing a computer is concerned, this is readily apparent. A computer may be sold for $1,000.
But you
The
gotta
parts.
buy
Real
all
income
the
for the
stuff.
store is derived from the installation of software, add-ons, and warranties.
Yep.
Another example I've personally noticed are GoPro batteries. The recommended retail price for GoPro batteries on Amazon is around
Dang,
$20,
$20?
which is much more expensive than alternatives like Smaytree who sell
Sheesh.
two, which store more charge anyways, plus a charger for even less than one official battery.
Wow.
The reason they often get away with it, though, is because either most people are unaware or they regard them as inferior, seeing as third-party batteries aren't under warranty. Either way, it's an insanely high markup.
Yeah, this is
Number 3,
interesting.
gender-specific advertising.
Huh.
Let's
Yeah.
face it, while there are obvious physical differences between men and women, there are also significant differences in their spending habits.
Yes,
Take
Yes.
razors, for example. Before
Yeah, no,
1950,
y'all.
shaving of the
you
underarm
do.
was relatively
Your
unheard
face.
of, but the introduction of short-sleeve dresses provided an opportunity for razor companies to cater to yet another demographic, and shaving the legs didn't become popular until the 1930s.
Uh-oh.
Fast forward to today,
Oh, they had
and
some
razors
hairy
are still
legs,
advertised
walking
to
around
women,
like,
but in the form of
Bigfoot.
basic, easily breakable, simple-tone disposables, while men's razors are sleek, hardy, futuristic-looking, and use language that is geared towards masculinity. Razors
Yeah.
were able to find a market not only with both sexes, but the way in which the same product with the same function is advertised
Right.
differs
That's true.
considerably. In
Yeah.
fact, a report by the Times found that overall women's products were 37% more expensive than their male counterparts.
Wow.
Which
Really?
may explain why many women have
I
switched
just
to
peeped
using
that.
men's razors, which are cheaper to buy in bulk and
Now
often
you
of
only
a
start
higher
using men's
quality that
razors.
lasts
Shoot.
longer.
Use
But
your
the
mouth.
gender bias on
Use your
consumer
mouth.
products goes both ways. Male skincare products tend to be hundreds of
Oh,
times
yeah.
more expensive than their female
Yes,
They are,
counterparts,
though.
Yeah.
such as Nivea
Yeah.
moisturizers. Number 2, arbitrary expiration dates. We like to
Oh,
think
yes.
there's an ordered and
Sell
logical
by,
system
and
behind
it's
the
still be
application of
good.
expiration date stickers.
Yep.
The actual usage of expiration dates on food didn't come about until the 1970s, but today there is a consensus that they are meant to tell us when a product is no longer edible. In fact, expiration dates are a bit of a misnomer, since they are actually meant to indicate to food purveyors when a food is at its freshest. Products are often quite edible long after their expiration dates, especially in the case of canned or dried goods.
Yeah, I know that.
But also more unexpected products like medications. This confusion has resulted in a
I didn't know
huge
those
amount of
expired.
food going to waste in North America, with 90% of Americans throwing out food prematurely. The problem is that expiration dates were never implemented
No, that's true.
as a
Those people
safety
go dumpsters
measure,
diving
but
at
as a
like grocery
quality
stores
measure,
to get
meaning
food.
that
Yeah.
there is no national regulation dictating what expiration dates have to say. While some things like milk or vegetables definitely go bad
Oh,
fast,
yeah.
Yeah,
chances
those go
are
bad.
you've been chucking good food in the waste bin for years. Number
Wow,
one,
that hurt right there. That hurt
nostalgia
me.
and smells.
Nostalgia.
Yes,
Yeah,
even
smells
the friendliest
get-
looking companies may be
Like
taking
movie theaters,
advantage
you
of
smell
your
like
childhood
popcorn.
memories.
Like, I gotta
That
get
catchy
some.
tune that comes in on the intercom while you're perusing the mall, or that barrage of Christmas music during the holidays, it's
Yeah.
not just there to add a bit of atmosphere. Several
there to get
studies
you to
have
buy
found that
stuff.
appealing to
Yeah.
people's sense of nostalgia effectively makes them value money less. This may have to do with the
Like,
fact
oh,
that
I don't care
nostalgia
how much
fosters
it
a
is.
sense of social
Go get it.
interconnectedness. When we are reminded of something pleasant in our past, we begin to overvalue our relationships to others, while at the same time devaluing our attachment to other things.
Yeah.
If you're in the
That
middle
is
of a
true.
mall or store, that other thing may be your credit card. We've also had it drilled into us that smell is the most evocative of the senses. when it comes to
Little
memory.
girl.
Grocery outlets are well aware of this and often design their layouts so that smell takes precedence when you walk through the doors. Positioning the flowers and produce section or the bakery near the entrance
Put the bakery
immediately
in.
assaults customers
Yeah.
with pleasant smells that stimulate the appetite, encouraging them to buy more. Likewise, when another consumer study experimented by using vanilla scent in a women's clothing store and rose Maroc in a men's clothing store, their sales nearly doubled.
Ooh,
Our
just
best
by the-
advice
Man,
to
why you
avoid
gotta
being
get such
manipulated by stores?
expensive
Bring it close.
fancy stuff.
Our subconscious can be a powerful thing, and though we may not always be aware of what it's doing, it's there to
It's
help
always
us navigate
working.
the
Yeah,
world
it is.
and our
Always
experiences. At the same time, it also makes us an ideal target for companies who know how to exploit our base impulses, biases, and psychological quirks in order to encourage us to buy things we don't need. Can you think of
Yeah, so guys, I know you guys remember, just like you said, when you go into the movie theaters and you smell that good old popcorn.
You just be like, I'm not gonna buy nothing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat when after. I'm gonna eat after I get out. And then you get in, you smell that popcorn. You're just like,
I gotta cop some.
I gotta get some.
I gotta cop some now.
but like the price thing, like definitely is something that I've seen for sure in retail, because there would be a sale. Okay, regular price of certain thing would be
Right.
like a T-shirt would be $5. Then all of a sudden there's a sale that comes around, and then they want me to change the size, and it says sale. Now the same shirts are $4.99.
Not really.
So it's a cent less, but
Right.
people say that it's a big giant sale, and then everybody's like, ooh, I gotta get it.
Right.
And that cent is just always gonna go to towards like tax. So it's like you're really paying for the same thing, you're just buying more of it now.
Yeah.
Because it's a cent less, and I'm just like,
Ooh,
this
the
is
trickery.
not,
I was working retail
yeah,
too.
I was
That's
like,
how.
this is not a sale.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I want
how
people to know that going from $5 to $4.99 is not a sale.
Saves you a cent.
That goes towards taxes.
That goes towards tax.
So
Oh, it's not really that.
it's not
I worked
really
retail
anything.
too, and it was they had some things like
Yeah.
that, rearranging things to
Yeah,
catch people's
moving stuff
eyes.
to the
Yep.
front.
To things that not
all
selling that
that.
much, put it to the front, put it on sale. On sale. Yeah,
And they'll
so
be like, try to connect like with your customer to make them like be friendly with them. Get them to get a credit card. I'm just like, if they don't want it, they don't want it. Like, I'm not gonna force them. So
yeah. But anyway, guys, please comment below. So we thank.
don't forget to like,
Subscribe.
share.
Smart guys, deuces.
Deuces.